so some off-season stuff. All right, and I go around and I talk to a lot of coaches, and this is something that even when I was a high school coach, I think it's important, and I won't spend a ton of time on this, but from an off-season standpoint, I think it's very important that you guys develop what I call a teach matrix, a self-scout, okay? And when you're watching tape, and I know, Coach, you know, the season's about to start in 2 weeks, we're kind of past that, but I still want to share this with you guys, is creating a cut-up of your guys and allowing those guys to watch themselves. The things that they did well, the things they need to improve on, okay? Every coach in this building, in my opinion, should have a teach tape. And what I mean by a teach tape, if I'm teaching the left 3 technique or 3 technique play versus the reach block, you should have a couple clips in your cut-up of this is exactly how it looks, okay? Or if I'm teaching that 3 technique versus a down block, you should have a couple plays, okay, in that teach cut-up of this is how we squeeze the down block, okay? So I think it's important that those guys have that, okay? And then also, of course, you guys can create a cut-up for your individual players. Those really good players, we're in the NFL, those guys come in, and then, Coach, I want all my clips from the last 4 years. Coach, I want all my clips from the left tackle I went against in my career. So giving those guys a chance to really kind of just watch the run and pass from a self-scout standpoint. As coaches, I think that's important. Okay, the next thing is, and we're kind of in this element right here, but it's football school, and I know this is the state of Texas. I know you guys do this already for the most part, but I think it's important that you take it back to the basics in the offseason, all right, and you put an emphasis on formation. You put an emphasis on tight end locations. You put an emphasis on backfield sets. All those things are important. More importantly, you're just teaching them the game. You're teaching them the game of football. And so that's something that we obviously do at Texas. We did in the NFL. When I was a high school coach, this is important. And I know you guys do this stuff, but I definitely think you need to make sure that you go back to this stuff in the offseason so those guys can understand, hey, why are we doing a spike stunt here? Why is the end Charlie and into the B gap here? Because of backfield set, all those type things. And then this is just a couple pictures of things you can talk about, what kind of plays you're going to get. This is some of our verbiage, but we know there's probably a chance of some type of split flow. This is probably too tight. All the stuff that you guys know, all right, to help your guys. And the same thing with running back levels. So those are just a couple things. Now let's get into the developmental piece. Why we do what we do, everything has a purpose. It helps our players become the most proficient at positional skills. So how are we getting them better? All right, so this is a fundamental board. And I think every single coach in here needs to have it. Offense, defense, special teams, it doesn't matter. If you're walking out to practice, in my opinion, and you don't have some type of board, some type of guideline, whether it's on a piece of paper, this is obviously behind my desk on my expo board, my GA hooked me up, looks nice, okay, but this is kind of what we pull from, all right? And so I don't think it's good if you're just walking out to practice, okay, and you're just picking stuff or you're making stuff up on the fly. And the biggest thing is why we do what we do, how we do what we do, all right? Those things are right there. And so each day when you come in and you're getting ready for your stuff, you can just pull. Bam, we didn't do good at this last practice, so let's work on hand placement. These are all our stab and grab drills. So I think it's important that every single coach has a fundamental board that can help navigate them through, hey, how are we picking stuff? How are we doing stuff? When do we want to teach stuff? All right, we'll talk about progression a little bit later, but for us, progression is very big. So we start from an elementary standpoint, and then we get into some of the more complex stuff.